welcome to another devlog. Today I'm going to try and explain how I'm getting physical lights to reflect what's happening in the game world. So without further ado, I'll show you what I mean. And I'll introduce you to my new assistant. This is Terence. He's a very quiet chap, but he's going to help show me, help show you what colour that we can see in the physical world is. So let's just start this demo. So we've got a we've got a light in the virtual world that's shining on a character's face. And that face has been illuminated here. We can see it's predominantly red. And Terence over here, we can see that his face is also being lit up in the real world in red. So if we go to spotlight, we start playing around with the wheel, we can see that indeed his face is changing the same colour as the character's face. That's what we're trying to achieve. Now, in a previous video, I explained that the mechanism here, this capture mechanism, is using this thing called a target texture. And that's basically how I'm capturing the main colour. But I'm pushing the main colour to these Philips Hue lights. So how am I doing that? So the best way is to look at the script. Okay, so we've got our mesh renderer result, which is just a cube we see on the screen. I've got a little flag here so you can turn off whether you're using the Hue lights or not. But the thing to really look out for is this thing called Hue settings. And the way the Philips Hue API works, which you can see if you go yourself here to this developers meethue.com. There's this Hue API, and you use all different little APIs here about how you start up and how you communicate with the Hue. You just follow that. But essentially what you need is you need to register your app with the Hue Bridge, and that needs an app name and a device name. And when you do that registration, you get back an app key. So what am I talking about? So let's register with the Hue Bridge. So I'm using this Hue API client here, and this is a library that I've got from NuGet. So if we look here and look under my plugins, I've got this Q42 Hue API and Q42 color converters, and that's important because the Hue lights use a sort of hue saturation mechanism that doesn't map directly to RGB, so you need to use converters for that. But this API is really good, and it abstracts away a lot of that Philips Hue API stuff, and I found it to be really helpful. So the registration. So the first thing you do is you register your app name and your device name, and that brings back the app key, and then you hold on to that app key. Once you have that app key, you don't need to do this registration again. So let's come back to area color. So the first thing I do is I start this light helper, passing in the settings, and then the light helper will figure out how to connect and register and all of that stuff. And then once you connect, or as soon as the game starts, I issue a connect, and I just wait for the return. And then once it's connected, I issue this change light. And what change light does, follow that through, takes a light name and a color, a unity color. And then we enumerate through all the lights that we've discovered on the Hue Bridge, and we find the name that matches. And then we issue these things called light commands. So here I'm getting an RGB color. This is the Hue API libraries converter. So it converts the RGB color that we are used to into a color that it wants. And then in the command, you just make sure that the light's on, and you also say you want to set the color. And then you send the command asynchronously, getting the ID of the light, showing the ID, telling it the ID of the light that you want to change. And that's pretty much it. And the color will just change. So that, in a nutshell, is how you use it. It's really easy. I don't think there are too many gotchas. The only gotcha I would probably mention is you probably want to turn off the light. So again, you have a light command to turn off. And when do you want to turn it off? Well, you want to turn it off when the app finishes. So when the app quits, so that can be just when you're running in the editor, then you can just issue the turn off and all the lights will turn off. So just leave your lights where you left them, how you found them, I should say. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not that difficult to do. Yeah, so let's just go back and have a look at the demo again. So come back in here, let's turn this on. And just so we remember, we can have another light in here. So now it's got a kind of yellowy hue. We can see Terence here is getting the light. It's now a mix of these lights. I could perhaps bring down the intensity of the yellow. And you can see the Terence is starting to get a bit more red. Yellow back up again. So you can play around with that. So you have multiple light sources. And also, I've got the other side of the face. Let's turn that light on. So you can see here the green light. And you can see on Terence now, his other side of his face is going green. So that's the whole idea, really, to have this kind of immersive experience of having multiple lights. We can just even turn a blind on that side. So now that side of his face has gone a bit darker because there's not as much light coming through this blind. Yeah, so this is the concept, really, to use the hue lights to react to the lighting in the scene. I hope you found that useful. Thanks.